Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. I'm super excited. So in this video, we are looking at just simple charting tips, y'all, and we're just using Tesla. For an example today, let me first give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, y'all. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. But if you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all. We learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So again, we are looking at Tesla, and I like to look at the 30-minute chart, y'all. And I'm going to pull up the 30-minute chart just to point out how we are just moving sideways, right? So looking at it this way, we know this area here, 326.85. We've been at this area. We tested it one. There's two. We came back this area here, kinda. This area 3, there's 4 times that we've tested this area. So this is the zone, in my opinion. This is our support area for Tesla. Resistance as of now is around at 328.85. So that is the zone. That is our support. That is our resistance, meaning this is what's hindering us from moving higher, or where we've been getting rejected from, or hindered from moving to the upside. And this is our support, what's been holding us up to keep us from continuing to the downside, right? So I'm going to look at the 5-minute chart only because I want to kind of point some things out, right? So looking at this 5-minute chart, yes, we see it from a different view. However, the concept is still the same, right? So starting on this side here, this would be our gathering spot. Price gathered in this area here. So I don't trade this because it needs to give me a clear signal as to what we are doing. Now, if I had come off of this rejection here, we got rejected at the ATR trailing stop. I could have traded it to the downside based on breaking out of this little move here. And as you can see, my MACD separated. I'm making lower lows here. So from the downside, that could have been a nice, a decent scalp depending on how many shares or option contracts. If you're trading options, get in at the right time and out at the right time is important. So around this 327.69 area, back down to this area here, let's say around the 326, it could have been a scalp area. Now, what's interesting is how we went sideways. Again, I look at the body of the candle. A lot of people look at the wick. Yes, I pay attention to the wick, but ultimately, I want to see where the body of that candle is. So I'm looking at the body of the candle here. And it's kind of like stopping in the same area, but not quite stopping in the same area. Let's say that. So I take that into consideration. And I look at my MACD, how we were separated, fanned out. We had a little pivot there. I'm not really sure if you can see that, but there's a little point there. I pay attention to that because that could be a signal that we're moving back to the upside. And you see how close those lines have gotten together. So definitely would not be in the trade to the downside considering this gathering spot here. My MACD is doing something different here, right? So ultimately, again, I probably would have waited on the trade altogether, but if possibly, getting in, it would have been off of the rejection. I always say buy off of resistance or off of the rejection and sell at the support area. So now back to it's trading in this gathering spot as of right now. Price came down only to go back up. We got back above this 326.85. We need to remember that 326.85 area because I wanted to point something out. We came here once, we came here twice, 3 times, 4 times. It tried to move up, but as you can see, we had a little trouble in this area here. We tried to break through that area only to come back up to the same area that, we were having trouble here before. We're back in this area again. Guess what? Price came down again, and this time we broke through this level of support here. So we definitely need to pay very close attention to Tesla at this point. However, this candle here is that, we need to watch that there were a lot of buyers in this area down here for Tesla around that 326.24 area. But keep in mind, I need to remember the 326.85, this area here. We got back above that area, so we definitely, I need to be paying very close attention to that. So next candle, we're still kind of like moving sideways a little bit. Well, guess what? We came back up to this area again. This one time, 2 times, guess what? We broke through it on the 3rd time. So if I was entering a trade for Tesla, my MACD gave me a signal here. We've broken through an area that we struggled at, to break. And I'm going to see if I can mark that without, yes. Okay, so this area here, we broke through this area the third time. 1, 2, 3. So if I was trading Tesla, I could have entered for another scalp back to the upside based on breaking this level of resistance, because we've tested it a few times. We broke through it. Okay. So I would have gotten in, and guess what? We're on this 5-minute chart. There's a double top, in my opinion, in this area here. And I kind of need to watch that area, because there's a strong possibility that if we make it back to that 329.81, guess what? We're going to probably have trouble again, right? So we made a high of 329.97, but do you see the long wick on this? That means we had some trouble right there in that area. Price came off. Sellers were right there just waiting to bring that price back to the downside. So, that's exactly what happened. Well, guess what? We continue making lower lows. We have a trouble. There's trouble. So if I was in this, if I would have entered here, once we broke through that resistance area, I definitely need to be out, or yes, out. I would have been out at the double top right here, in my opinion. Again, we try to wait on the candles to close, but again, this candle kind of gave us the false move that it was going to continue going to the upside, only to have sellers there to bring us back to the downside. Well, guess what? With this 5 EMA, could have been our support area, where we end up breaking through that slightly, only to try to go back up. Well, guess what? We failed to make a new high. So I definitely don't need to jump back in this trade. In order for me to get back in it, it would definitely need to have gotten back above the 329.81 or even the 329.97. I would have been okay with the 329.81, but I would not have entered it again to the upside at this point based on this here, because as you can see, there's a little wick on this part here that kind of brought us back to the downside. So we definitely need to be careful with that. And one of the things, y'all, when I was learning, I did not remember the names of those candles. I'm a visual learner. I knew that when I saw this candle, it's a sign of reversal, or when I saw this candle, it's a sign of whatever. I based it on what it meant instead of the name of it. So whatever works best for you. Do I encourage you to do it that way? I encourage you to do it with whatever way works best for you. So again, Tesla came back down only to come back to this gathering spot area here, which we've been at this place before over here. So we knew that it could be a place, and that's why I marked those areas, because we could possibly come back to that again. So guess what? We found some support in this area. We created a gathering spot. That was our support, only to move back up to this level and got rejected. You see, there were some sellers in this area right here, but keep in mind, there were sellers here before, so that is not a new area for us. We knew that we could possibly have trouble there, right? So when we're in a trade, we definitely want to look and see where our other trouble places, where price gathered together, where we stayed at this location, how, we stayed there for a while. That's something to think about, right? So back to this candle here, we got rejected only to come back down, and I don't kind of like this up and down movement type thing, so I would definitely not want to trade this. But again, if you are a scalper, whatever works best for you, right? So we tried to go back up again, but guess what? We didn't even make it through this area. So we're definitely having trouble with Tesla trying to make its way back to the upside. So this is how I read, this is what I see when I'm looking at the charts. I'm looking at my 5 EMA. We got above that, but guess what? Is this kind of like a double top for us again in this area here? So, because if so, that means there's a sign of rejection. There's a sign of reversal. We could very well go back to the downside, and that's exactly what happened here. Look at where our MACD gave us a cross here, and it starts separating, and it starts fanning out just a little bit. That's a signal, along with this double top here, in my opinion, right? And we're making lower lows back to the downside. Would I have jumped in the trade? Probably not. But I do see the signals that it was giving me for a reversal back to the downside. Well, guess what? Price has come back to this gathering spot again. So we have been here. There's a one. We're going to use this area. We've been here 1, 2, 3 times now. So I definitely need to watch Tesla in this area, because we keep coming, but even though we go up, we will come back, and everybody is meeting at this area right here. So I need to watch that. So once we broke out of that, guess what? We came back to another meeting area. That's 1, 2, 3. So I definitely need to watch this 326.85 area, and I need to remember this area here, which I've already had it marked around the 327, around the 327.44, 327.32. Price have come back to that area a few times, right? So being that we came back to this area 326.85, guess what? Price tried to go back up again, only to get rejected at that ATR trailing stop. And y'all, I say so often, in my opinion, that is a strong resistance or a strong support area. If that's something that you use, I encourage you to try to do some research on it. If that's not something that you're using as of now. Let's say that again, not financial advice, y'all. We're just trying to work on charting tips and trying to make it a little bit easier for us, right? So we're back at this gathering spot. So we located that, this was a gathering spot here, here, and here. Price broke out of that only to come back to another area here, here, and here. Now what's interesting is how we bounced, had trouble again, same area, right? Went sideways just a little bit. Yes, the sellers were like, okay, that's it. We come back to the downside in this area. What I wanted to point out is how we came back to this 326.85. I'm going to make that line a little bit darker or heavier because I want to point out how we keep coming back to this area here. 1, move up, come down. 2, went up, come down. 3, went up, come down. 4. Well, guess what? We have broken through that level this time. So we definitely have a trouble area for Tesla, so we got to be careful. That 326.85, which was a strong support place, is now, in my opinion, a strong resistance area for us, right? Because there's 1, 2, 3, and here's number 4. We're down under that level, but as you can see, we came back to a level that I had marked before, and only because I just go and I locate the gathering spots, those areas that kind of hold us up. Why is price going to this area? And we're calling it the meeting place, right? Because that's where everybody is meeting in this area to figure out which direction that we're about to move in. And I always say that in trading, with trading, y'all, there's buyers and there's sellers, and when they are buying, I want to buy. I want to go in with the buyers, and if you can't beat them, I say join them. So when they're buying, I want to buy, and when they're selling, I'm out. I want to sell, right? So what's challenging again is trying to figure out the strategy that works for you and understanding the charts. And charting is not difficult. It's just being able to recognize when something changes, right? Like I just noticed that this was our gathering spot. Price had been at this area 1. We've been here twice, 3 times. Our 4th time we broke through that. So I need to watch that. So I'm going to go back to the 30-minute chart for Tesla. I'm going to zoom out, and I know it probably look a little congested, and y'all, that's because I've been doing charting Tesla for a while, and I kind of want to know where my possible trouble places are, right? So looking at this on the 30-minute chart, that blue line that we made a little bit thicker, as you can see, it is a support area for us. We've been here 1, 2, 3, 4, broke through it again, now to come down and find support in this area that we have marked, only because I normally go back and just look at the gathering spots, y'all. So again, I don't like to make long videos because some attention span people, sometimes it gets overwhelming trying to look at it all at once. So I hope these videos are very, very helpful. So I'm going to do a really, really quick recap. What we did was identified our support places or the gathering spot, and it's like that even to the upside. Where is the gathering spot and what's causing us from moving or preventing us from moving higher, and remembering those places or identifying them and marking those places, because at some point there's a strong possibility that we're going to come back to that. And when you're in the trade, or before you actually get in the trade, you kind of want to know where the possible trouble places are. So again, y'all, I hope these are very, very helpful. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. I say so often, this is what I see when I look at the market, and there's so many different ways to make money in this market. Again, what's challenging is trying to figure out the plan that works best for you, and for you to have the discipline to execute your plan. With that being said, y'all, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others. Until next time.